Hi, hey, hello everyone. What is up? It is me, Kore Kaware, back at it again with yet another Danganronpa V3 redesign, but this one is very, very special. Today, we are doing the final chapter of Danganronpa V3. We are moving on to chapter 6, and I had a lot of fun with this one. Let's just say I had the ending of this planned out since I started this rewrite. So, let's get right into things. We are going to be redesigning the final 3 characters. I am very sorry, I am not redesigning Kibo, however, I have not left him out entirely, that you will see more at the end. Okay, so starting out, we are going to be starting with Himiko Yumeno, because she unfortunately has the least plot relevance in this chapter. I did have a lot of fun, though, with her design. I think that a mage character is always very, very cute, no matter the genre. And I think that her actual talent, because I keep forgetting to say this whenever I change the talents, I think her actual talent, though I wrote it as mage later on in this, you'll see, I think her talent would be something to the effect of stage magician, and she just says that it's mage because it's the same thing in the end, it doesn't matter. And I had a lot of fun redesigning her. I tried to incorporate some card suit themes into her outfit, so you will see she has you might not see actually, it might be too zoomed out. She has a little rounded sort of heart-shaped tongue that I drew in her mouth. The cards on her hat are clubs. Oh my gosh, I keep hiccuping. Her clothes in general, her cloak in specific, are shaped kind of like diamonds. They have that nice little point. I don't know, that's my justification for that. And then her staff is a spade. I know she doesn't have it in the game really at all, but her splash art has it, so that gives me an excuse to include all 4 suits in her design. I think that it's fun, okay? So throughout this game, Himiko has gone through a lot. I feel like she would have started out the game very much trying to hide herself behind her hat, similarly to Shuichi, and she would have kept the neck of her sweater pulled up kind of around over her nose at all hours. I do also, just as an aside for this design, I think that she has probably a pretty bad immune system, and this is like 80% projection because I'm kind of always sick, and so I think that would be just a little thing. Like, she is covering up. She does not want to get sick, and she gets sick anyways, and I am very sorry, ma'am. But she, throughout this game, would have gone through quite a lot. She would have, in Chapter 1, been shocked by the murder, of course, happening at all. Chapter 2 was not so much to hurt her specifically, but she comes to realize yet again that this is real, it's still happening, and that some of the others have massive stakes in this. Chapter 3, of course, she loses Tenko, she loses Angie, she loses her closest friends. And Chapter 4, she realizes that she can't really trust anyone, even the people that she thought she could. Chapter 5, of course, she knows that even Monokuma does not know what's going on, and in the end, all that she can really trust is what she can see with her own eyes, but she's a magician, she knows better than anyone else how easily the eyes can be deceived. So, by the time of Chapter 6, she's gone through it. She has gone through a little bit of an arc, you know, sort of sliding into a bit of, I don't want to call it a depressive episode, she was just very upset and very unmotivated after Tenko's death and Angie's death, especially after Tenko's execution. I don't think that she would have been able to watch that all the way through. And then she would have been slowly recovering, getting closer to Saihara throughout the remainder of the game, especially as she tried to sort of glom onto him as this figure who was so confident during the trials despite his own issues, and who spoke with authority about a lot of things, even if the things tended to be pretty unpleasant. So, I had a lot of fun with her design, and I would like to keep this moving at a clip because I have quite a lot planned. So let's get into Maki Harukawa next, the first one that I drew, and I came up with the idea for her design first and foremost because I have so many issues with her canon design. I need you to look at her right now in the game and tell me they really believe us to believe that she is a child caretaker. They really want us to look at this girl dressed in blood red with a murderous expression every 10 seconds, and go, yeah, she should be trusted her own kids. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. So I changed it so at least she looks like she works in a daycare or something of the sort. I know that in Japanese, I believe primary schools, it's very common for, or daycares maybe, it's very common for workers to wear that sort of apron to just prevent stains from getting on their day clothes. And so I gave her this apron with a large pocket so she can keep stuff in it. I gave her practical boots that are probably combat boots, but she says that they're just slip-proof because, you know, working with kids, there's a lot of spills, and she wants to not, you know, wipe out and, you know, land face first on the ground. Her pants are also stained with paint and paint, because it's an easy explanation for why there's so much on her pants. She has a little bandage on her nose that I just thought was cute. The gloves that she wears, she would probably say are compression gloves, which honestly, they probably are actually compression gloves, but I think that she also wears them to hide a variety of calluses on her hands because you develop very, very specific calluses from handling knives all the time. Probably guns too. I know less about guns, I know more about knives. You probably develop specific calluses from guns too. The necklace that she wears has beads from her childhood friend that she took the place of, and I like that she wears them as a bracelet in the game. I don't actually know if that's the context, but that's what I choose to believe. But I wanted to change it to a necklace because I feel like, as someone who owns a lot of childhood friendship necklaces and bracelets, if you wear them every day, they are not staying together. You have to find some way to, like, keep them safe or not wear them if you want them to stay together. So I imagine over the years she would have lost a lot of beads off the initial bracelet, and now she wears the remaining ones just as a necklace. And I kept her little mole underneath her left eye because I think that's very cute. I gave her very large eyes that look like very disarming, because I do want her to at least look like she's not trying to kill everyone all the time. She would be very, very good at making, like, you know, these wide-eyed innocent expressions, but they're also very, very capable of an unnerving, just staring into your soul, like, expression. And I didn't give her any light in her eyes. I imagine during probably chapter 4 is when she would get it. Well, not chapter 4. Maybe during, like, following the reveal of her talent, when Kaito and Shuichi still accept her, she gains a little bit of light in her eyes, and then chapter 4 happens, and then Kaito dies, and she's just like, nope, okay, never again. She's not having a good time. I am so very sorry, Maki, my beloved. I also did, in the end, I really wanted to sort of contrast her design with Kaito's, so I did give her a sort of light yellow color to contrast with Kaito's purple, because I think that it's interesting. I also sort of view the main protagonist trio and the mastermind of Canon V3 at least as the CYMK palette to a degree. The print color palette, it stands for cyan, yellow, magenta, and then K for black. And I thought that Maki being yellow in this, like, would be an interesting contrast to her, you know, talent, her personality. Saihara is, of course, cyan because he's blue, he has to be blue, and Kaito is magenta because it's very, very bright. It's a very, very passionate color. Red is associated with a lot of passion. Purple is, of course, associated with space, but it's also associated with royalty, which I think is a fun contrast to how he speaks. He speaks in a very rough manner. And Tsumugi being the K in all of that because she stands in opposition to them. Where they are bright color, she represents darkness and Danganronpa itself. So with that being said, let's get into Tsumugi's design. She's so cute! I'm sorry, I like her. I think that she's very, very cute. I had so much fun drawing her. I saw this outfit on Pinterest, and I believe it on Twitter as well, and I'll have to try and find the original artist, because I think that the the knitted sweater tucked into high-waisted shorts with leggings underneath, I think it's so cute. I am so endeared, and I love her design. I love how it came out. I had a lot of fun just drawing her, even though I drew her relatively quickly. I think she took the least time out of everyone. I have my gripes with her as a mastermind, but I think that her design is quite cute, and I really enjoyed her. I don't think it's suspenders, but the bits of her original outfit and her splash art that come up around her shoulders I thought were very, very cute, so I wanted to kind of mimic, you know, the potential for a similar kind of shape language by giving her these sort of suspender things, like on, you know, hanging down from her belt, but she could still wear them if she wanted. And I gave her red shoes because I feel like it's very, very interesting to hint that, you know, she, despite all of the blue in her design, despite her, you know, exterior, she does have the capacity to do evil. She does have, you know, that secret that she is the mastermind, and that's represented by, you know, the red thread, which she is cutting, and the red shoes, which, you know, she doesn't draw attention to. She's just, Tsumugi in the game, I have so many thoughts on. I think that a predictable, I'm disclaiming this, a predictable mastermind is not necessarily a bad thing. However, her execution of the concept I feel is lackluster, and honestly, I think that she was the least interesting person to have been mastermind out of the cast. I think I would have preferred it if, you know, maybe they brought back a dead student and revealed that, oh, they weren't actually dead at all, it was just a ruse, you know, they were lying. And I think that Tsumugi's motivations for being mastermind, obviously it's a commentary in line with the game's critiques as a whole, this idea of, you know, who is the true self underneath this devotion, this unhealthy level of devotion to the fan property. But at the same time, you know, I don't like it. I don't like how they executed it in the game, and this also ties into why I didn't redesign Kibo, and we will get to him in a minute, what I did with him. But I do think that my take on Kibo in the game, at least, I think that how he's written is he gets to pull out a useful gimmick or piece of evidence once every trial, lest they forget about him. And then they wrote him specifically so that the twist at the end, with Kibo being the audience's perspective in universe, could be used. And I'm so disappointed in that, because the idea of who Kibo was before Danganronpa could be such a cool contrast to Tsumugi, and they just don't explore it. They're just like, yeah, Kibo's the audience's perspective. Any interesting themes? We're not exploring those, that's lame. And I'm so disappointed by it. And so with that disappointment in mind, let me tell you a little story for what I feel Kibo's role could be. There's a young boy, so unimportant to everyone as to barely even have a name. He doesn't even remember it himself. Seeking some purpose in life, he signs up with Team Danganronpa. As an intern, of course, he could never embrace the risks that come with a life as a contestant. He's always had a talent for working with machinery and computers and coding, and so he joins to help with their tech. He's noticed by some of the upper-level scientists, and taken on as an intern of sorts, their pet stranger. This young boy makes a name for himself, and that's never a good thing in the world of Danganronpa. He's invited by higher-ups to have a purpose, a name, and a new life. Hope itself. For the audience, of course, not the contestants. They don't deserve that. And these contestants will see him each and every season, with a new face, with the same name. A body that can never die, so that the audience's perspective is never at risk of being cut off. A robot, chained to the program that his creators wrote, and that he himself wrote. Kibo. Now, you all may be wondering, and ignore the background footage, it's probably just footage from my animatic or the rest of the speed paints in this video, but very, very sped up. You may be wondering, Corey, if you don't like the Tsumugi is the mastermind twist, What are you doing to make it better? And with that, I will take you into our Chapter 6 trial. We enter the trial room, of course. The herd has thinned by this point. There are 3 people that we perceive to be good. There's Kibo, the robot that we've never known what to make of, and there's Mugi, who, at this point everyone knows, has to be the mastermind. It can't be anyone else. She was the only one who could have entered the girls' bathroom, and everyone else, of course, tested with Mama Kuma to see, well, you know, can it make more Monokumas like that? And I think it was actually a Monokuma brain. I think Mama Kuma is funnier. Deal with it. But in this trial room, of course, we have our confrontation. Tsumugi reveals herself as the mastermind, reveals to our characters that all along, they haven't been real. She's not even real. The only thing that's real here is Danganronpa, and the truth of Danganronpa is that there must be a mastermind, and there must be the righteous who oppose them. And in the middle of her speech, the camera is wrenched away from Saihara. This would probably play out as a series of CGs. The camera is wrenched away from Saihara as Tsumugi is laughing her evil laugh. She's relishing in the audience's reaction, in the despair that the cast no doubt feel. And in the middle of this, there's a loud sound, a sharp crack, and Tsumugi falls to the floor, completely dead. And Shuichi Saihara stares back at the horrified faces of his fellow castmates and laughs. Did you really think they would only let one mastermind in this season? We're trying to keep this show going. It would be boring if we did anything else. And Shuichi reveals himself as the mastermind, explains that no, Tsumugi was completely right. Everyone here are merely characters, created specifically for the purpose of Danganronpa V3. That the show is running out of funding. People aren't bored of it, but they want to see something new, something interesting. And they've never had a mastermind twist before. The audience is always able to guess it, of course. And Shuichi laughs, because he didn't just outsmart the player, he didn't just outsmart his castmates, he outsmarted the entire world. And their audition tapes play, and his is the first. He wants to play a detective that will make the best mastermind Danganronpa has ever seen. And he pulled it off, didn't he? And so he poses the same question that Tsumugi poses in canon to the cast. He doesn't entertain any of their ideas of freedom or escape from Danganronpa, because that would be stupid. He just has one question for them to vote on. Are they going to execute the mastermind? Or are they going to choose to end V3, not with a bang, not with the tradition of Danganronpa, but with a whimper, killing everyone except the true culprit? So which do you choose, audience? Who will you vote for?